Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this webinar. We are really excited about it. We are introducing Atlas. We sort of gave a preview at a conference 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was like really exciting to see all sorts of things that people are imagining, and hopefully we'll get talk about it. But what is Atlas? It is an agentic harness which is purpose built for education. So this is the agenda here. I'm Sanjay Shwaso. I'm partner CEO of Vocareum, and I'll give you an overview of Atlas. Hopefully, I'll be done with between 5 to 10 minutes because the main point of today is a live demo. So I'll hand it to Mary Gordonier and Andrew Liang, who will go through the demo of Atlas, and then we will open it up for Q&A. But throughout the webinar, please go ahead and ask your question in the Q&A section of Zoom, and there are a few of us who can try to respond as we are presenting. Also, one of the unique things which you want to do, and if you want to drop it in the chat, if you have a simulation that you want to try to have built live, please go ahead and drop a prompt. For example, you can say, things like we have been doing, like, hey, build me an EHR app or build me an app which will teach students about, gravity or whatever. And we'll try to sort of build this app live. Uh, but okay, next slide. What is Atlas? It's an agentic harness for education. So we built it from ground up. So if you're familiar with things like Cloud Code and Codex, which are essentially primarily their focus is to help you build code. Our Atlas was built for helping you build learning experiences for education. So one of the few kind of design principles that you should be able to interact with it only with natural language, and you should not need any technical skills, so that we are hoping that it'll be deployed in all sorts of non-technical fields. It is model agnostic, so you can bring in your own model, and it could be, Cloud, OpenAI, Gemini, or even your open source model. Let's say, if you have some open source model that you're deploying it on-prem data centers, you can use that. The big thing, once again, is purpose-built for education. So it understands things like roles like teachers and students, and tasks like assessments and debrief and feedback. And really important that is built on our platform so that you can deploy really quickly in your LMS. And hopefully we'll show you that. So, and it is built on top of our Vocareum platform. So once you go ahead and build the application, what you get, it's straight out of the box scale. So this is the platform which scales to about 5 million learners. Last year alone, we had 1 million unique learners, all the security guardrails that are built in, and you don't have to worry about it. Things like authentication, either coming through LTI or a SAML, and, other application specific capabilities, like worrying about accessibility or quality of the platform. It is some of the applications. So once more, two specific Vocarium components that I want to call out are AI Gateway. This is how we deliver Gen API keys for any platform. And this is what we are using for Atlas. So you can determine what model, and also put budgets at a very fine level, and put moderation control if you need it. Uh, for example, if you're worried about that your data is not used to train model, then you can bring in your own key. Maybe you have an agreement with Azure or AWS, and we can use that. The lab platform itself, which is a container platform, which you use for delivering all sorts of our coding environment, and it has access to all the features like persistence and scalability. Some of the applications that our customers have built, are things like, say, application. You simulate the application itself. For example, one of the healthcare use cases, like you're teaching people how to use HR, and you can't get an access to give you student, let's say, an Epic. You can build an application. Chatbot was a surprising use case that maybe you don't want to give every student an access to chat gpt on cloud, so you can actually simulate using Atlas a chatbot. Virtual patient for nursing, that has been a really big use case. Business simulations. Soft skills, maybe you're teaching someone for how to handle different sort of customers in an IT support role, on a financial advisory role, and even foundation courses like math, physics, chemistry. Maybe you're trying to, build some solution to drive home a specific concept. So that's the my part of the presentation. And at this point, I'd like to hand it to Mary Gordonier. Mary.
Everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Mary Cordonier, and I'm a solutions engineer at Vocareum. And today, Andrew and I are going to take you through the Atlas platform, sort of demonstrate that to you and show you what it looks like and show you what's possible. And one of the things we're going to do, if you got some of our emails about this webinar, you're probably aware that we asked for folks to suggest what they'd like to see us build live in this demonstration. So we'll actually be building one of your requests today, which will be a business simulation. Then Andrew will show you sort of the depth and breadth of some of the things that you can build in there. Sanjay touched on a few ideas, but Andrew will show you some of those in practice. We'll come back and check out the built application that we've made together, and I'll show you how easy it is to connect and deploy that to students. So not just the ease of building the app, but the ease of actually getting it into your learners' hands. So to begin, we'll just start with the Atlas platform, and I will go ahead and share my screen here. So what you can see here on my screen is the Vocareum platform. And in here we have Atlas. We also organize things in courses for distribution to students, and you can see we can connect a lot of other resources here, but we're really going to be focusing on Atlas today. And I was playing with our data, but I'm just going to show you what's in production as of today. So I'm going to start by, all of these are apps that I have here available, and each of these can be distributed to as many courses as you'd like. And just to give you a quick preview of what that might look like when a student comes in, this is one of the applications that was built using Atlas, and it's an AI literacy course for students. So it includes not only information, but it also includes some knowledge checks and can kind of assess students and give them feedback based on what they built here. The only part of this that is going to be sort of standard is these two bars here. Everything else you're seeing in here is the app itself that's built and fully customized. So very minimal user interface that's sort of shared, and everything else fully under the control of the person building out the app. So one of the points here is to make that building process as streamlined and easy as possible for any user. So what we're going to be building today, let's just call it business simulation. And when I create the application, it's going to do a few things. It's going to set up my building environment. It's going to initialize a application and a system that has a lot of context already in it. So the difference between using this and going straight into, Claude Code or building something with ChatGPT, there's a couple differences, and one of them is that it's already has the context that you're building a learning application. It has a lot of insights into, how to do that in an ideal way. And it has a lot of tools that hook into the Vocarium system so that it can be deployed seamlessly. So I myself have built a lot of simulations with AI over the past couple of years, and I can say that, at least in my experience, this is a much quicker way to do it. So I'm going to actually just go ahead and verbatim put in the suggestion that we got here. I'm just going to say, build this app. And here's the suggestion we got. So a branching workplace leadership simulation where students make a series of high-stakes management decisions, receive realistic consequences, interact with AI-generated stakeholders, and are assessed on critical thinking, communication, and ethical leadership. Here you can select what model you want to use to build. So all of these models are connected through our AI gateway, which makes it really easy to connect a bunch of different services and models into Vocareum and manage and budget their usage, both for people building apps, but also for your students. And this AI gateway will also be used within the application itself, since this app is going to include at runtime these AI-generated stakeholders. So I'm going to use Claude Opus for this one, and I'm just going to send the prompt. So right away, it's going to send this through our gateway to Claude. It's going to start by understanding its environment. So it has this sort of system for understanding all the resources it has available to it. And it's going to sort of build from there. While this is building, so typically sometimes it will actually give you the opportunity to input answers. So it'll ask you some questions about your application. So in this case, it's actually asking me some interesting questions here about design. Should the branching scenario content, how should it be created? So shipping one full scenario. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so that you can see it well. So this is AI authoring a complete polished leadership scenario and decision tree. And so that's going to be one that can get graded immediately. AI generated on each run. So this would be a fresh scenario dynamically for each student. So more variety, but it's less controllable or consistent. So if you were trying to assess students on their performance, you probably want to give them all the same simulation. And then instructor authored. So this would be a scenario authoring user interface so that instructors can write their own trees. So that would be no default content, but just the sort of tool for instructors to insert their content in here. I'm going to have it just ship one full scenario so we can see the finished application. And then it asks how students should be scored on critical thinking. So here it's saying an AI scored rubric, decision path weights only, so competency points, and no AI will be needed for grading. Or a hybrid where there's preset points and AI feedback. So I'm going to choose hybrid here. And then how should the AI stakeholders behave? Interactive chat per decision or scripted reactions only? I'm going to let it generate interactive chats per decision. So that is the full set of questions it's going to ask. It asks me them all at once. And now I can just kind of let it run. And typically this takes, depending on the application scenario, it can take 10 to up to 30 minutes. I've run this one before and it's typically around 15 minutes. So while it's running, I'm actually going to hand off to Andrew to show you some of the simulations that he's built using Atlas.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Mary. Hello, everyone. I'm Andrew, and I'm the product manager for Atlas, and I'm really excited to show you all just how powerful Atlas is and some of the incredible things you'll be able to make with it easily. At Vocareum, we want interactive simulations and assignments to be available to instructors not in months or weeks or days, but in minutes. And we want them to be tailor-made and easily created with natural language. You will talk to Atlas as you would me, or a colleague, or anyone else, and it will understand and adhere to your instructions and requirements. In fact, the more detail you provide it, the better your simulation will be. So each of these examples I'm about to show you was made in under an hour, many within 10 to 15 minutes. So let me share my screen here. Second. All right, can everybody see? All right, so we'll begin with our simplest example. Hopefully I actually just load this. Okay. So this is the first of our nursing education simulations. So there are 3 provided scenarios: post-op hemorrhage, sepsis recognition, hypoglycemia. We'll go with the easiest one because that'll make it harder for me to embarrass myself. So we'll begin with the pre-brief screen, which, along with the debrief, is essential in all nursing simulations. As you can see, we have our learning objectives, our competencies that we're covering, and the case. We have our chart here, patient reports, the learner's role, and the environment described, our safe container agreement, and we'll just get started. So we'll see that this is a simple decision tree-based simulation. The patient's vitals will change as we progress through the case, and we'll have to respond accordingly with the correct interventions. Notice, however, that there is an AI preceptor that a learner can interact with to reason through their clinical decisions. Of course, an instructor can easily add or remove this by just asking Atlas to do so. You don't have to use it. Or you can even customize the nature of the AI's feedback to perhaps something more Socratic, because we want the student to reason clinically and arrive at the answer, not for AI to give it away. So maybe I'll say, please provide some guidance. All right. Picking up on some important cues already: confusion, diaphoresis, tremor, and insulin given 40 minutes ago with no breakfast noted. That cluster is telling you something specific. Notice what's missing in your vitals. The glucose reads null. Before you can treat, what's one piece of objective data that would confirm your suspicion and guide everything you do next? What's the quickest way to get it? It sounds like I should check a point of care blood glucose at the bedside right now. Look at that. All right. Correcting any patient on insulin with acute confusion, hypoglycemia is the fastest reversible cause. Check glucose first. Oh, and now that's blinking red, and her condition is deteriorating. Mrs. Foster, you have false commands. All right, so now I think we'll give her 15 grams of a fast-acting oral carbohydrate. Well, yes, all right, correct for constipation. Okay, awesome. We're watching her closely. I think she's ready for breakfast, gang. She seems better. Let's just give her some breakfast. Okay, reconsider. Recheck the glucose first. Full meal comes after the acute is lowered. All right. Uh-oh. Recheck the blood glucose. All right. Okay, so as you can see, the vital's reacting, and we're near the debrief here. What's our follow-up? She's no longer diaphoretic, and I'll place her on NPO until the provider rounds. Okay. I'm not cut out to be a nurse, everybody. Without it. Uh-oh. Okay, there we go. Let's see the outcome. So, provider's notified, a mealtime insulin time is just to follow the tray. You caught a common dangerous cause of confusion. Close the loop to prevent it happening again. And now we'll arrive at our debrief screen. 50%. 5 total missteps. That's on me again. Analysis of our decisions. And of course, the learner can debrief here with the AI coach to go over their clinical reasoning and their decisions. Here are the guidelines and evidence that the content of the scenario was based on, and then a short summary. All right. So, yes. So analytics, sections for learners to fill in. All right. So remember, this was our simplest example and created quite literally in minutes. So let's move on to something a little more complex. Nurturing shift. Okay. So this is a shift simulator. Again, we have our pre-brief page and debrief page at the end. As you can see here, we have our learning objectives and the competencies we're assessing. And this is a little more complicated. So as we proceed through the shifts, we're going to review patient charts, work through our tasks, and advance the time until we arrive at the end of our shifts. So welcome to the shift. You are the day shift nurse on 4 West Medical Surgical Unit. We have 5 patients. It's 7 o'clock. Night shift is just given a report. select the patient, review the chart, work through the tasks, and advance the sim clock. So let's go with Maria. So as you can see, a little more complicated than the previous simulation. Each patient has their summary, MAR, vitals, orders, blood works, and notes. Let's go through those. Schedule medications, vitals, orders, blood work. Notes. All right. So let's look at what's in Maria's MAR. So it says insulin Lispro, and it looks like we have to administer it, and it gives us a little note here. We have to check BG before administration. Okay, let's administer. We're going to have to make sure we're administering to the right patient. Let's check the MRN 284712 on the left. That looks correct. All right, and so we're administering insulin. Uh-oh, looks like I gave Maria the wrong insulin. And notice that this created a safety event over here on the right that was logged. All right. And now we just have to give her the right insulin. All right. So we're checking BG before administration. This looks right. We're going to double check all this. This all looks correct. And we administer it. Awesome. Then let's acknowledge this order. Culture. Needs review. All right, acknowledged. Okay, and we're done with Maria. Let's move on to Lynn. Looks like we just have to advance her diet. Acknowledge. Just continue IV fluids when tolerating PO. Acknowledge. All right, so we'll just move through all the patients. The learner was going to proceed with the rest of the shift, and of course, the preceptors on the bottom, if they have any questions that they need guidance on. And of course, the AI is aware of everything that's going on within the simulation, so it can answer those questions. As they proceed through the rest of their shift, they're going to advance the sim clock here on the upper right. And the events will change, the conditions will change, and their tasks will change. And we'll skip to the end here. And we'll see, we're a very bad nurse. We've left most of our tasks incomplete and we caused a safety event. For any other learner, though, they'll be able to once again debrief with AI and talk through their decisions and anything else they need feedback on. So that was a little more of a complex simulation. And we have our most complex at the very end to demonstrate an even fuller extent of Atlas's capabilities. But we want to emphasize that Atlas can be used to create quick and simple assignments also. Perhaps a nursing student is struggling with math. An instructor can simply, with one sentence, create an interactive assignment that treats the learning gap and allows the student to receive the practice they need, and the instructor an assessment of student competency. So here's a dosage calculation assignment. And a medical record reconciliation assignment. So we'll write how many tablets will I administer? One, hopefully. All right. 3, hopefully. Yes. All right. And so for this medical record reconciliation assignments, the learner provides justification to the AI for their decision. Right. You have to decide whether the medical records need to be merged, kept separate, or flagged for review. Here we've decided to merge because all the most relevant personal identifying information is the same. The only thing that's different is the hospital medical record number. And if we go to the next case here, Maria Garcia, it looks like her birth dates are different, her socials are different, and but the medical record number is the same. her address and phone are not on file. We'd probably flag for review here, I'm thinking. Yes. Okay. Yes. Personal information is inconsistent. Other relevant information is missing. I'm right. The identifiers are inconsistent, good catch, we are too poor and both clearly differ. Yes. So these are, once again, very simple assignments, and these are easily created in minutes, and they're just for targeting any learning gaps, much like the math one here, that an individual student might be experiencing. And an instructor can create this interactive assignment, again, in minutes. So this is the most complex nursing simulation we'll be showing today. And the one we're most excited for. So this deals with intraoperative malignant hyperthermia. And I have the help of my friend who's a nurse in making this. Learning objectives here. Core competencies. And down here, vitals move in real time. Every action costs time. Sequence matters. The clock keeps running while you decide. You'll get a full score debrief with rationale at the end. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to instructor mode right here. So in instructor mode, the timer is paused and the sequence is written out for us, so we don't make any mistakes. And we'll just begin the simulation. So normally, as a student goes through this, we'll resume the timer here. The timer will continue. The patient's condition will deteriorate live as a response to that time and as a response to the interventions that the learner chooses. So even though this timer is paused right now, you'll see that if I declare malignant hyperthermia emergency, which is the first correct step, time will increase by around the time that it takes to do any of these interventions. You'll see that each of them has an associated time cost. And obviously the patient's vitals change as a result of that. The next step seems to be discontinue all triggering agents. We can let the time play, actually. We have the answers, gang. So we're going to call for help, notify surgeon, get the image carts. We're going to hyperventilate with 100% O2. But if a student's having difficulty, they can click clinical consult here, which automatically pauses the timer. It locks the decisions, and they can ask for help. And once they finish consulting with AI, again, if the instructor enables it, you don't have to use this. But once they've closed this, clock automatically resumes, and they have to continue. Yeah, let's just keep going. 5. Give dantrolene, and you'll see, of course, every event is being logged. Patients' vitals are changing in real time. 7. Send stat labs. Correctly acid. All right, looks like they're stable. We're going to insert the Foley. Maintain urine outputs. All right. And then refer to patient. Got it. Incredibly, I've scored 99. Ah, I missed something. Okay, I forgot to call the AMH hotline. That's actually quite important, according to my friend. Okay, well, that's okay. Nobody's perfect. So, let's see here. All the steps. Times the dantrolene. Key teaching points here. So the earliest, most sensitive sign of MAH is rising CO2. Okay, once again, the guidelines and evidence that this content is based on. Debrief section for the learner if they would like to use it. So that is our most complicated simulation in terms of nursing. Actually, I'm going to show everybody one more. Because I forgot to show it. It's a little less complex, but this is a nursing AFib, sorry, detection simulation. RN, learning objectives, competencies, once again, just to show you, and obviously visuals and sound are not an issue for Atlas as well. Interpret the cardiac rhythm. Sinus tachy, probably AFib. No, I don't know. Yeah, okay, awesome. All right. Select the appropriate nourishing actions. Immediately defibrillate the patient. That looks a little aggressive. Let's go with these. Okay. Maybe I cheated. Maybe I knew that these were the answers. We'll keep that between us. But yeah, the learner will just proceed through the 6 cases, doing the exact same thing. So we get the picture. All right. So that's all for the nursing simulations. I know there are probably some business people and faculty here who are wondering if Atlas's capabilities can be applied to enterprise and business education simulations as well. And the answer is an emphatic yes. Let me just go over one business simulation as I go over my time limit. Okay, so let's name our company Andrew Incorporated. Okay. So we're just going to select between 4 parameters here. So every quarter, looks like every 6 quarter, we have 6 quarters. We start with 500,000 cash on hand. So every quarter there is a random event that happens. Stable market here, conditions are calm and predictable. So that looks good. Calm and predictable. Oh, looks like Mary has raised her hand, which means that the first prompt that we were doing is done. So let's set our unit price here to, let's be greedy. $100. What's a little, we don't need that much marketing. All right. R&D, never heard of her. All right. Production volume, 7,000 units. All right. Let's run the quarter. Hopefully we make some profit. Oh, look at that. I made some profit. That's actually crazy. Market boom. The economy is surging and buyers are plentiful. You know what? $200. Can't even do it. $150. We can spend a little bit on marketing now. R&D. Let's spend a little bit on R&D. Production volume. 9,250. That sounds like a nice number. Okay, we made a little less profit. Economic recession. Okay. Well, I think people can still afford to pay $150 for this. We won't spend anything on marketing though, and R&D, and we'll produce, 10,000 units. Let's see here. Okay, so we lost $100,000 this quarter, not what I was hoping for. All right. Okay. Stable market again. What happens if we just give it away for free? No, 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 no. $30. $30. Maybe marketing. Maybe we were just missing marketing. Maybe that was the issue. Maybe we were missing R&D too. Okay, lost another 80,000. Another recession. I think we're in the red now, gang. Okay. Let's say what happens if I just $20? Very little marketing, very little R&D, no R&D, in fact. We'll keep this at 6,000. All right. Okay, we lost 43,000. Supply chain shock. What does this mean? Input shortages drive my unit costs up steeply this quarter. I don't like this. We're losing. We're losing, gang. All right. Okay. Let's keep this here. Let's keep that to 15. That to 10,000. Let's go to 8,500. Come on. Come on. Come on. Let's finish strong. Okay, awesome. All right. $129,000 for this quarter. And we'll take a look at our debrief. I got a C. C's get degrees. And in cash, 500,000. Total profit, 75,000. All right. All right. I'll take it. I'll take it. We'll have our results here. And of course, obviously, an instructor can ask for more KPIs or different KPIs that they care about. So this was done as a student. A teacher viewing this is going to see the teacher dashboard, right? And they'll see their class metrics listed here. Obviously, there's only one student. Their company was Andrew Incorporated, right here. And then obviously you can view the students at an individual level. Right here, back again. Go back to the class. All right. So, yes. Yeah, if there are any other metrics or KPIs that the instructor wants, that's also a one-sentence request away. And once again, you won't have to wait 6 months to get a custom simulation and pay $170 per seat per student for that privilege. Atlas will produce something that's just as good or better in a fraction of the time and a fraction of the cost. And so I think that's it for me. I hope you're all as excited as we are for what Atlas can bring to instructors after experiencing all of these. And I'll hand it back to Mary to see what Atlas made for us.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Andrew. Yeah, I'm excited to share this business simulation with y'all. So we got some interesting stuff here. Let me go ahead and share my screen again and get some of the Zoom clutter out of the way. All right. So here's what happened. While Andrew was giving you guys some walkthroughs of some of the apps we've built, we started up here. This is I think where we left off together. It gave me some prompts to find out what I wanted to do. So like Andrew mentioned, like the inclusion of AI in the app when it's running for students is totally optional. So you can just use AI to build an application that's going to behave exactly the same for every student, that's deterministic, and have that be what runs. Or you can allow AI to, generate the app when it runs. You can allow AI to sort of interact with the student dynamically. And we kind of gave it a little bit more free rein to simulate some conversations with the student and also give the student feedback. So that's what we're going to see today based on our choices. As it's going, it sort of reports out what it's working on. It also gave me a nice little checklist that it worked through, including telling me what it was working on while it was working on it, and then it's telling us what it built here. So the first 90 days of leading Team Helix. So and here's what the student will see, this preview. So you've just been promoted to engineering manager of Team Helix at Meridian Health. AI likes to come up with fake companies, but that can be really helpful for giving folks, students, kind of like a realistic scenario. So a company, we're working at a company that builds software handling real patient data. So you've inherited a talented but strained team, an aggressive roadmap, and a lot of eyes on you. And over your first 90 days, you will face a series of high-stakes decisions. There are no purely correct answers. Each choice has consequences that ripple forward. Before you decide, you can speak with the people involved to gather perspective, and for each decision, you must explain your reasoning. You're assessed on 3 competencies: critical thinking, communication, and ethical leadership. So that's the intro to the simulation. It worked with the 4 pillars that we asked for. We have branching decisions with real consequences. We have those AI-generated stakeholders. And we have a hybrid assessment on critical thinking, communication, and ethical leaderships. So it's generated a rubric here that if we wanted to, sort of change how it was grading, we could have it modify that rubric. So that part is going to be a combination of AI assessment and a static rubric that it's assessing from that we can refine exactly how we want. And then platform submission. So the raw attempt transcript is going to be posted to Vocareum's grading API server when the assessment is set up, if it's set up as an assessment. So right now it's not in a setting where it is set up as an assessment. It's sort of standalone. But we could integrate it into an assessment and then it would push those results through. So it can work in a context where those grades are translated into numbers that can be used, for example, pushed through to your LMS or not. It also is access control role aware. So that means that there's an instructor view that only people registered as teachers in Vocareum will get to see. And it knows when it's a student or when it's an instructor. So that's what we built. It's created a pretty interesting scenario here. So your best engineer is driving people away is my first challenge here as a new leader at Helix. And before I decide how I want to handle Priya, I can actually talk to her like, how are things going with your team? And an AI agent actually will work on the back end and act as Priya. So I can decide, whether what I want to do with her. And now, so if in this conversation she said something really wild, I might report her to HR immediately. I think in this case, we're probably going to do specific behavioral feedback, and it's having me explain my reasoning. She needs to, let's say, know that teamwork requires respect. And so she gets very cranky, and then she admits that she's really, really overwhelmed. So she's working on changing how she gives feedback. And then the instructor view, this is a preview of it. This isn't connected to live students, so this is just a preview of what the student would see. But you can see for this particular user, I'm going to be able to get a sense of what the student scores are for each of these as they go through the simulation. So a teacher would be able to view this for each student. And if we did connect it to an assessment, these grades could actually feed back into a total score for the student that I can review. And then I'll have a sense of sort of how students are comparing against each other in their work. You can also have it create a leaderboard. So there's a lot of cool stuff that you can work on from here. So now that we've built that, let's go back and just hook it up to an assignment. And I'll show you how quick and easy that'll be. So I'm just going to share it with a course. I'm going to share it with our Atlas Demos course. I could also, for example, let Andrew, if I typed in his email here, he could become an editor and help me work on it. But for now, I'm just going to share it with the course. I'm going to go over here to all of the courses for my organization, and I'm going to add it as an assignment here. So I'm going to add a new assignment. I'm going to have it be Business Sim, Atlas, and here you can see my business simulation is one of the options here, and I will add that assignment. So now it's taking the application I built and adding it to a specific course where it can be assigned to students. And that's where once it is added here, I can actually do things like set, submission criteria, give it the ability to connect to a rubric. If I just publish this assignment, it will be available to my users, and I can actually just go in really easily to a student. So back to my student who's logged into Vocareum and their Atlas Demos course. Here's the business sim that we just built. Oh, I think I put this one on LMS, so I'm going to just turn off the LMS integration for it. And that's based on your course settings, whether it will be locked for use only with an LMS, because you can connect it through and have students access it that way, or if students can access it through direct login. So right now, this student is accessing it through direct login. And while that setting is populating through, I also just wanted to go ahead and show you one of these happening live in a LMS that I've already connected. So this is a Canvas LMS. So we can connect with Canvas or any other LMS that supports LTI. I've just clicked on a Canvas assignment. So this is sort of framed directly into the LMS. So everything out here is Canvas and in here is Vocareum. And here is an assignment that I built actually yesterday, talking to a customer who had a philosophy professor who was interested in using the tool for doing student homework that they get like quick feedback on their thinking around a text. So that's the LMS integration there.